What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are finally doing a highly requested video. We're going to be reviewing the Milestar Patagonia Mud Terrains. I've ran these on my TJ and then obviously now my Gladiator. These are my favorite tire. I don't know why, but they just are. Well, I'll tell you why in the video. But I just love the look of these. They handle perfectly, they wear perfectly. They're true 40, so I'll go over all of that in the video, but let's get into it. So obviously I am running the Milestar Patagonia tires. I have 40 by 13.5 with 17-inch rims. These were the closest thing to a true 40 that I could find when I was doing my research when I was in the market for 40-inch tires. So that's like the major reason that I wanted them, and the second reason that I always recommend them to people that are looking for a 37 or a 40-inch tire, because you're actually getting what you're paying for. So there is companies out there like the Nitto Trail Grapplers. Their 40, I think, only measured out to, it was 37.5 or a 38. So like you're paying for a 40, but that's not what you're getting. So where these, I'm pretty sure they were like 39.5. So pretty damn close to a true 40. So if you are in the market for 40-inch tires, then just go with the Milestar Patagonia. After watching this video, you'll understand why I love them so much and why I recommend them to everybody that I know. Alright, so first things first, let's go over the wear and tear. So as you can see, these are wearing pretty damn great. I think the tires themselves have 18,000 miles on them. My Jeep only has 23,000. So wearing great. There's still a crap ton of tread on here. There's no dry rot. There's no chunks of tread missing. The sidewalls are in good shape. So I would say they are wearing pretty good. And it was the same when I had them on my TJ. I probably put, I didn't really drive that much, but I think probably put like 15,000 miles on that. And the tires still look brand new after 15,000 miles. So these tires are great. They don't wear quick, which is nice. So yeah. And while we're on the topic of wear and tear, I have heard of people having issues with the sidewall on these tires. I haven't had an issue. Like I said, it was out in Moab and everything. I was crawling up rocks and the sidewalls were fine. But some guy I follow or I'm subscribed to on YouTube, he had his Jeep out in New Mexico and a rock, I think it was, punctured the sidewall of his tire, and there was literally a huge gash, probably like this big, and like he could put his hand in the tire. But so he said the sidewall's weak. I don't think they are. I personally haven't had any issues, so I don't know if maybe he just got a bad tire or what, but I really wouldn't like not get the tires because of a weak sidewall, considering I haven't had any issue and my tires got beat the hell up in Moab, so mine are fine. So I don't know. Alright, so next thing we're going to go over for these tires is the road noise. So these are probably one of the quietest mud terrains that you can get. It has something to do with the tread pattern, since there's only, as you can see, there's only 3 going across versus normal tires that have the 4 tread pattern. So the tire's pretty much like floating, I think is what they call it. I don't know the right terminology or anything like that, but pretty much the tread pattern is why these tires are so quiet on the road. Obviously, if you have your doors off and the top off, you're going to hear the tires. But they're not super loud and annoying like when you hear a Jeep or a truck with mud terrains go by and it's like, you don't hear that. So, nice and quiet. Love that. I'm kind of over hearing mud terrains in my Jeep. When I was in high school, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I can hear the tires. And now that I'm older and I'm like, I just don't feel like hearing that sound the whole time I'm driving my car. So if you're looking for a quiet mud terrain, again, these are a good option. Before we go any farther, as always, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. It helps me out a ton. And if there's any videos that you guys would like to see on my channel, please feel free to comment below what you want to see, and I will try my best to get those videos made for you. So next thing we're going to go over is the performance on these tires. As you know, if you've seen any of my other videos, I had this Jeep out in Moab, and these tires did great. Like, any obstacle that I tried, whether it was sand, rocks, or even those like slick walls that they have out in Moab, this thing literally got through everything. Like, no problem whatsoever. I aired down to about 12 psi, I think, and this thing just crawled over everything. So they are great tires for off-roading and everything like that. So we're on the topic of performance. The only, I guess, complaint that I do have, which is kind of a given when you have bigger tires, so it's not necessarily the tire's fault, but they do tend to hydroplane a little bit easier, and just when it rains and if like you hit a puddle, obviously it's going to pull you. So that is something to be aware of, but obviously if you're running a wide tire, that happens no matter what. So if you're looking to avoid, obviously, your Jeep pulling or floating and everything like that, you're going to want to stick more to like a 10.5 wide instead of a 13.5 wide. But, so like I said, that's like my only complaint when it comes to performance, but it's a given. I kind of knew that was going to happen because it happened with my old Jeep. So, not really the tire's fault, but figured I'd throw them in there. So they are a little bit obviously pricey, but you're getting a 40-inch tire, so it's not going to be cheap. But they are on the cheaper side for 40s. I know they have like the Nitto Trail and Ridge Grapplers, which I think are maybe a couple $100s more than these, but they were an option for me. But like I said, these tires are just my favorite, so I was like, I'm just going to go with a tire I know, a tire I trust, and that's what I did. So 5's kind of in the middle. They're not the cheapest mud terrain you can get, they're not the most expensive, but to me they're the most budget friendly, and they're a great tire for what you're paying. So obviously, if you're going to get a very cheap tire, like a very cheap 40, yeah, it might only be like $200 or $300 higher, but you're going to run into issues like I did with my JK, where I bought a cheap tire, and then chunks of the tread were coming off when I was off-roading and everything like that. So sometimes it doesn't really make sense to get the cheaper ones. Maybe if you're just going to drive it on the road, just going to be a little pavement princess, then you're probably fine. But if you're planning on off-roading your Jeep, then you might as well just spend the extra money and get a more expensive tire so you don't run into issues. But yeah, so I honestly don't think the price is too bad for what you're getting. Okay, so another thing that I forgot to mention, why I love these tires so much, is that they don't hold every single rock. Like, I know it sounds stupid, but when I first got my Jeep and it had the stock all-terrains on it, those tires held every single rock, and they would constantly fling them up on my paint. I have like 2 or 3 rock chips, not from these tires, but from my stock tires that came with the Jeep. So for me, having big tires that don't hold rocks and aren't gonna flick them up onto my paint is a huge deal for me. So if you're crazy about your paint like I am, that tip will probably be helpful for you, knowing that your paint's not gonna get fucked up. So figured I would throw that in there. And like, yes, it holds like little tiny guys, but like they're not gonna fly up and hit your paint. Like, I'm talking about my old tires that would hold them like in here, and they would just flick up like huge freaking rocks and scratch the paint. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is my review of the Milestar Patagonia Mud Terrains. Just to kind of sum it up, like I said, I love these tires, no complaints. They're a true 40, they're quiet on the road, they do great off-road, so you really can't go wrong when it comes to getting these tires for your Jeep. You won't be disappointed. Like I said, they are kind of budget friendly. Obviously they're not super cheap, but they are one of the cheaper options, and they look beefy as hell, which is the main reason I wanted them. But yeah, so if you're in the market for 40-inch tires for your Jeep, truck, whatever, the Milestar Patagonias are going to be a great option.